Alright, we're now going to start talking about the stems, and we're going to start with the external parts of the stems in plant anatomy. So, lenticels. They are the breathing pores that are found on the stems and branches of plants. As you can see in this image right here, you see all the little white dots on that. They can come in different colors, I think light brown, and they allow the plant to breathe along the stem. Not all plants have them as significant as this one, but they're obvious on this image right here. Alright, the bud. The bud of the plant is where a new shoot or new growth will form on the plant. So let's start off on the left image. As you can see, this is a dormant plant. This is actually a plant called Ginkgo biloba, one of my favorite plants. And the buds are dormant in that left image. As you work your way over to that middle image, you see the buds start to break. Right around April in springtime, those buds will start to break and new shoots or new leaves will come out of those buds. And then in the far right image, you see where that bud is fully open. Going back to the term bud break, that's an important term to know. When I say bud break, that means the buds are open. It usually happens in the springtime. And so you see that in the far right image where that bud is fully open and a new stem with leaves has come out of it. So bud scale scars. If you notice in the bottom image right here, on the right side is the previous year's growth. It's the old growth. In the middle, you're going to see that bud scale scar, and in the current year's growth, you're going to see on that left side. So if we revisit these images at the bottom right here, you're going to see how right below all that green growth in the far right image, you're going to see that bud scar that bud. And you can see it again right here. So that bud scale scar is in the middle. Leaf scars. Leaf scars are where leaves once were attached to the plant. As you can see, there's a bud right there in the middle. It's the green object. And then right below, you see this V-shaped area where the leaf was once attached. So it was ripped off or it fell off and it left a leaf scar. The terminal bud. The terminal bud is at the tip of the plant. Terminal means end, and so is the end of the stem on the very top. Auxiliary buds. They're located at the axil of the leaf, at the base of the leaf. So in the simple leaf on the left side, a simple leaf is one leaf attached to the stem with one auxiliary bud at the base of that petiole of the leaf. In a compound leaf, it has leaflets. There's no auxiliary buds at the base of the leaflets. The auxiliary bud is only found at the base of the entire leaf, the compound leaf, where it attaches to the stem. So make sure you know auxiliary buds is where the leaf meets the stem. There's a bud coming out right there. And then lateral buds are actually found on the sides of the stem. Sometimes they could be auxiliary buds, and sometimes they could just be buds by themselves with no leaves below them. And so the lateral buds are found on the side of the stem. Xylem and phloem. So when we talk about internal parts, two of the biggest terms you need to know is xylem and phloem. Xylem is the tissue that transports water and nutrients up from the roots to the stems and leaves. Phloem, you think phloem down. Phloem is the tissue that transports food down from the leaves to the roots. So as you notice in this image on the right side, you can see that's a cross section of a trunk, and that xylem is that middle area. It's made up of the heartwood and sapwood in the very middle of that stem. And then if you notice on the left image, you can see where the outer bark is. The phloem is right underneath that outer bark. Here you can see the cambium. The cambium is the thin, green, actively growing tissue located between the bark and the wood. And so right beneath the phloem or the bark and then the phloem of the plant, you have the cambium. The cambium is what's actively growing at this point. It's what allows the trunk to get wider, and then as it dies off, it's going to turn into older wood, sapwood, heartwood. So it produces all new stem cells. The bark is that old inactive phloem, and so as the phloem gets old, it turns into bark, increasing the diameter of the trunk. And then the heartwood is the old inactive xylem. So heartwood is no longer active anymore. It doesn't transport water and nutrients up to the upper canopy of the trunk and the leaves. It's just older growth is the hard part of that center of the trunk. And in the very center of the trunk, you're going to find the pith. The pith is not listed here, but is the very center of the trunk. And then sapwood. Sapwood is new active xylem. So make sure you know heartwood is old inactive xylem. Sapwood, where the sap of the plant comes from. You see that the gooey, sticky stuff, especially on pine trees. The sapwood is new active xylem. So cotyledons. When we talk about the stems of plants and even the whole plant anatomy, you got to know what cotyledons are. So cotyledons are those first leaves that come on the plant. They're not true leaves. You've seen all those when we planted our gardens. So there's monocots, plant stems that have vascular bundles with both xylem and phloem. So when monocots, when they come up, when they arise out of the soil, they're only going to have one seed leaf. There's only one leaf coming out of that seed. So an example would be a grass or a corn. As you can see right here, you see a monocot stem on the right. Monocot stems, the vascular bundles are spread throughout the entire stem. So you see they're pretty randomly throughout on that right image. When we look at a dicot stem, though, you can dicot stems, the vascular bundles are actually organized along the edge of that stem. So if you cut a stem in half, the vascular bundles actually be along that stem on that left image that you can see right there. And so dicots, what they are, is plant stems that have a phloem layer and a xylem layer separated by cambium. And so dicots, you think more complex plants. And you want to think trees, shrubs, even a lot of vegetable plants like tomatoes, cucumbers, those types of plants. Those are dicots. They're more complex. They produce 2 seed leaves when they come out of the ground. So they're not like grasses, which are monocots. And you're going to have branches on them. So monocots, when you think grasses, they don't have stems and branches and all that. Only dicots are going to have those more complex plant structures. Translocation. So a process that happens in the stem is translocation. This is where the phloem and xylem move food and water up and down throughout the plant, and so it translocates it throughout the plant. So translocation is nothing more than the movement of water and minerals through the plant. Remember what phloem does and xylem does as well. And also the stem is responsible for the support of the plant. So it supports the branches and the leaves of the plant. Alright, that's all I got for today for stems, you guys. We'll start talking about roots in the next video.